Such a pleasure to speak with you. I was curious. This is a well thought out, very well rounded character for you. Taylor usually does a good job of fleshing it out. Was there something, though, that you added or maybe tweaked a little bit to Dwight?
What you're seeing actually is the hardest thing to do, which is to be yourself. This is the way I am around my house. This is the way I'm with my wife and my daughters. And I thought this would be a challenge to have a gangster who is like your friendly uncle. You know, you just don't know until you push his gangster button, and that's a whole other thing. And at first, people go, I don't know about this. This is not dark enough. Taylor goes, oh, I want it really serious. I said, well, I'm not that guy. I played the serious role. I can be as dark as you can possibly want, but I want this. I don't want to be like Rambo or any other things. I want this to be kind of odd. Like this is refreshing in a way that you have a guy who's actually doesn't want to hurt anybody. He really doesn't. That's why he says to the car dealer, it really wasn't necessary. This wasn't necessary at all. And then he's eating ice cream. He's just that kind of guy. And so yeah, you're right. It was kind of thought out. It was a little daring to go out on a limb like that to play yourself. Trust me, it's not easy.
And Rocco, you can take the next one.
Okay, hey Sly, how's it going?
Great.
I wanted to ask you, were you allowed to go off script a little bit, or
all the
was
time?
It everything.
All the time. See, to me, a script is it's almost like flying a plane, and all of a sudden you see turbulence. You go, oh man, I got to avoid this. I'm going to go around it. I'm going to raise and lower, and sometimes, you know, at first they say, you can't do this. I go, yeah, I can. I have to. It's just, that's what I've always done with Rocky and Rambo, whatever. I always go off just to add a little spin or a little wise crack at the very end of something. And to me, that brings it, it makes it fresh. Because, guys, imagine saying the same line 10 times in a row. After a while, you begin to question your sanity. You really go, God, what does this guy want? I mean, and then when you just throw something in, I tell other actors too, I say, just add an extra 2 words in there, and it's going to throw the whole rhythm off, and you'll feel refreshed. So yeah, the answer is I went off script all the time until finally they stopped saying, they stopped asking me to follow the script.
Nice. Thank you, Sly.
Thank you.
And Elias, you can take the next one.
Hi, Sly. How are you today?
Great, thanks.
Previous interviews, you've said that you've always wanted to play a gangster. You finally have this role. What went through the whole process of this, and like, what went through your mind when you started reading the script?
Well, in the original idea, he was pretty thuggish. He was a guy who lived in an apartment, and the opening scene is like he shoots a mirror out by accident, and he starts to threaten his neighbors. Hey, shut up! I didn't do nothing, kind of a thing. I said, whoa. And then he goes out there, and he starts to take over strip joints by hitting guys in the head with champagne bottles. I go, that's not cool at all. I don't like that. So we added the aspect that, how about he's been in prison? How about he kept his mouth shut? How about he was loyal? And actually, you'll find out he didn't even deserve to be in prison, but he kept his mouth shut, and then he's supposed to be given a reward, like everyone who followed the rules is expected to get, and it's denied. So everyone is going to be empathetic to his cause, like Jesus, even no honor among thieves. And when he's thrown out there, you actually have to see a guy either succumb to loneliness or build a whole new infrastructure without Italians, without the guys he thought were his buddies, with cowboys and Indians and nerds and computer geeks and this, you name it. And that becomes his new family. And that was, we all finally agreed on that, and I think it turned out pretty well. And it gets crazier, believe me.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Michael, you can take the next one.
Morning, Mr. Stallone.
Sure. Good morning.
Dwight talks about in the very first episode about some of the great works that he's read while he's been in prison, and I noticed Faust. He even talks about, was it worth being in prison? So I'm curious, Do you think in all the deals that are being made in that first episode, does Dwight feel like he made a deal with the devil, or is he the devil?
He's kind of the devil, but he's also been enlightened. Like, I took a couple lines out. I'm going to start adding the back end. He's always quoting Marcus Aurelius, and then he'll do Dante, and then someone, and then different philosophers, and even citing like Copernicus. You know, because he studied math. He's really quite bright, and that's why you'll find out later on that he makes everyone rich. Because he understands numbers, he understands the stock market. He's really he's really good on a computer. You'll see. I mean, he put his time to good use in prison, and it makes him, a formidable opponent. But he tries to avoid. I mean, the only time he gets physical with anyone, except with poor Fred in the beginning, which, I thought that guy was fantastic. When I hit him with a bottle and the way he fell down, I said, this guy has to be part of the mob forever. So we make him part of the gang. He's like Fred. So we elevate him from that to something like he's like my bodyguard. It's going to be great. But no, I think that he starts out as a devil, and actually eventually you're going to see his daughter, and he has to change. And he really does start to become enlightened. And he realizes, like, I hate who I am, but it's a little old right now to find a new profession. I'm just not going to be, but I won't be vicious about it. I'm not a killer. So he'll continue to do his nefarious things, but in the context of what's going on, like, he's not violent, except once. And then he's really violent.
And Monica, you can take the next one.
Hi, Sylvester. It's so nice to see you.
Hi.
I wanted to ask you, obviously Dwight's been in prison for over 20 years, so 25 years. So for you as an actor, when you read that and you're playing, this is, your first kind of like 10 episode long television show, how do you prep for that? Because there are so many comments and jokes that he makes that, in terms of the world that he hasn't seen for 25 years. So were preparation and things that you did, and all of those comments were very funny and very well put into the script.
Good question. The preparation is not far off from the truth, because as I think I'm getting to use an iPhone, I realize it's almost obsolete. They've got it keeps progressing. Like, I have no idea. I watch my daughters, and I'm in constant denial about how archaic I am. But so as long as I don't try to outsmart the audience. I bring up a few times, for example, I bring up these old TV shows, things that I can relate to, that everyone, like a disco, and excuse me, but I thought I'm still being hip. The thing is to really embrace your awkwardness, and so I never try to be hip. I just try to be functional, but I'm never going to be like Tyson, my driver there, this guy here. He's really smart, and you're going to see him evolve to, actually, he's going to become a little competitive, that kind of thing. So everyone's evolving, but me, I'm devolving. I just want to play with my grandchildren, seriously, and make a few bucks. I'm not interested in being like this ambitious killer at all.
Well, thank you so much. It came across so well, so congratulations.
And Carissa, you can take the next question.
This is really thrilling to talk to you today, so thank you so much for being here.
Sure.
And thank you for making one of the funniest shows I've seen in a while. I haven't laughed that hard in a while.
Really?
What is it? Really? What is it like at this point in your career to be able to embrace that side of yourself and not have to be the macho man?
It is the most liberating feeling, because I never thought it was ever going to happen. What I used to tell people, like, I said, Rambo's a performance. I'm not really that monosyllabic and dark and petulant, and I really don't talk like Rocky either, but people always assume that's who I am. This one, finally, it's liberating, because this is who I am, for real. I mean, I'm in between takes, whatever. It's always the Dwight guy, but that's because this is how I talk. This is how I roll. And I thought, let me just see if this works. If it bombs, then I know I have a shitty personality. Okay, if it works, I go, finally. Because I've always been the class clown my whole life, believe me. That's why I went to 13 schools in 12 years. I just am very, very hyperactive. And I just thought I'd try to put it in this character to see if it flies.
It flew.
Oh, thank you, flew. There we go.
And Steve, you can take the next question.
Hello, Sylvester. This is a terrific showcase for you. Dwight is coming out of prison after 25 years. He's getting a second chance. What does having a second chance mean to you? Have you ever experienced that in your life?
Oh, man. You've hit a subject. This is the topic and the subject that fascinates me the most, because it's one that we constantly seek, which is redemption. We all make these carnal mistakes. God forbid, whether it be, you married a girlfriend, this, the wrong jobs, whatever it is, a parent relationship, and you go, God, could I just get a second shot at this? And this is a perfect vehicle, perfect format for, that's my philosophy in life. So Dwight, I'm always drawing on the way I feel, because I feel like I've made so many mistakes. Probably I'm feeling more guilty about it than I should, because I have this persecution complex, but it pays off. Anyway, it's good for writing, the persecution complex. So Dwight's sense of redemption is a journey that I have been on many, many, many times. I just try to make it not so lugubrious or so morbid. I try to make it, all right, he sort of laughs at himself, laughing on the inside, crying on the outside. Kind of, I reverse that. He's laughing on the outside, but inside he's a little torn up. And that will become much more apparent when my daughter finally pops into the scene here.
Is that Dana Delaney?
No. It's actually a newcomer, and her name is Tatiana. So, yeah, you didn't see, Dana's also great. Where did you see her? What a character.
Thank you.
You bet.
And Josh, you can take the next question.
Hey, Sly, I'm with Brooklyn Magazine, so I have to ask, 50 years ago this month, you were filming The Lords of Flatbush.
Oh.
And Flatbush and in Coney Island, and I wonder if you have any reflections on that experience.
I do. That was what you call a real handmade kind of film where, did we raise $15,000? Okay, we can shoot for another month and not shoot for 3 months, gain about 20 pounds, go back, lose it again. It took about 2.5 years to make that, and it was funded by a dentist. And it was one of those kind of handmade films, and your pay was you get to keep your motorcycle jacket. That's like, there was not even SAG. It was amazing. So, but that was the first time, and actually, talk about real locations where I got to test out my writing in some of the dialogue scenes. I went, not so bad. So it also was done by Marty Davidson and Steve Verona, who were really great, because, God, and there's so many characters. Like originally, it was De Niro was involved, and Richard Gere was involved, and a guy named Michael Moriarty was involved, and they kept coming and going and coming and going, and it turned out the way it did. But it was extraordinary experience. I mean, really, talk about just stealing locations, being chased by people. I mean, it was, yeah, for real, it was great.